We're live. Hello, everyone. Welcome into Yelling from the Couch. I'm Brent Humphreys. He's Gage Berdovich, and you won't catch us on the cam at a Coldplay concert. Gage, how we doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Doing great, man. It's been a good week. Kind of a slow week sports-wise and everything, but football's right around the corner.
Yeah, right around the corner. A couple things happen in baseball, some minor trades. Pirates trade away Adam Frazier. Poor guy gets to go back to the Royals, and they get a 28-year-old minor leaguer in return. Okay, cool, I guess. I can't think of anything else that's happened in sports. Can you?
No, I mean they had the home run off for the All-Star game the other night. That was different. So there's a kind of cool stat that involves the Reds. The last player, and maybe the last player ever, to hit a home run in extra innings was 2018. Joey Votto hit a home run in the 10th inning of the All-Star game. That may never happen again. There may never be another extra innings in the All-Star game. So that's a cool little fact.
Yeah, and then you had the home run derby, where O'Neal Cruz, I think, hit the two longest balls in home run derby history out of the stadium. So I don't think anyone will break that Pirates feat. And
Cal Raleigh wins that home run derby. Man, was there anything else that happened this week? Sports-wise, any signings or anything happened? I can't really think anything. So let's go ahead and get into the AFC West. Wait, hold up. Maybe there was a signing yesterday.
A little bit of a defensive player signing, something that the Bengals apparently just don't do. I think it was like 3 years. I don't know, $123 million with $108 guaranteed. Who would that have been for? Oh, that's right, T.J. Watt in Pittsburgh. Lock him down. Now I think that'll just end his career in Pittsburgh then. I don't think he'll go anywhere else, which is nice. I get to keep my TJ Watt jersey and not have to worry about him going to another team, which is awesome.
And that he's the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history, passing Myles Garrett, who just got a deal, in this offseason. Yep. So it didn't take them long to pass that up, but they got a deal done. And Pittsburgh got a deal done.
$108 million guaranteed, number of sacks in his career. You know what? That was done purposely.
No, definitely not. They couldn't use a round number, They just had to go with 108.
Could have done 105, 110, 107 and a half. No, let's give him 108.
Yeah, but they make a deal. The Bengals, though, they had little headlines this past week. Their first-round draft pick, Jamar Stewart, is still not signed. The only first-round pick not signed. He runs back off to College Station to work out with some Texas A&M facilities down there, and
he's going to be back in college this year? Question mark.
I don't know what they're doing with this situation right here. Like, I don't know what he's doing for one. Because if he does go back to college, the Bengals still own his rights. You know what I mean? So, he's either playing with the Bengals or he's going to the UFL.
And it's crazy, too. It's not like Stewart had a great college career or anything. What, 5.5 sacks in college? Mm-hmm. So it's like, first of all, how did this guy even go first round? I don't get it. Unless he must have had a great combine performance and great interview process. That's the only thing I can figure out.
Yeah, I guess the potential was there, but, you can't draft somebody that high on potential.
Did you happen to catch any of the ESPYs the other day?
I caught the Shane Gillis monologue.
Yes.
Yes.
9.5 minutes of I love that.
My favorite part, I like the Norm Macdonald joke at the end because, if it's a throwback to that, it's perfect timing too because, Charles Woodson played, wide receiver and defensive back, won the Heisman. Yeah. And then now Travis Hunter does it. So he brought it up at the perfect time. But, you could tell a lot of people was just like, oh, what's he doing here? They didn't know the joke from before. But my favorite part may have been where he introduces the 4-time NBA All-Star. Yeah. Everybody's clapping and applauding. He's like, that's my wife's friend. She doesn't play in WNBA. That's great.
I think my favorite one had to be the Shedeur Sanders joke.
That was pretty good.
13 and 12, almost won the Alamo Bowl.
Of course, we're retiring his jersey. But yeah, that was. I don't really watch the ESPYS, a whole lot, but this year,
I didn't know it was on.
Yeah, I just seen the after, like ESPN released the monologue and then the tush push, the skit. That was pretty good too, And then he's like, then we're gonna have a bunch of loser teams out here protesting the tush push because they can't stop it. That is great.
I love that.
So so there's not a whole lot going on right now. We still got some baseball going on. It starts back tonight, the second half of the season, and I'm losing faith in the Reds, man. They lost to the Rockies last Friday. After I was like, if they could just sweep them, we'll be good. And then they about lost Saturday. They come back and won. I mean, they're hanging in 3 games back from a wild card spot, but man, they're slowly going.
Well, the Pirates open up the second half with I think 7-game homestand, 9-game homestand, something like that. And they start with 3 games against the White Sox. So this will really determine what happens. I'm still surprised that Bailey Falter and Andrew Heaney have not been traded. Those are 2 guys that I expected to be first gone. I didn't expect Adam Frazier to get traded at all, so that was kind of sad to me. And then I also expect Isaiah Kiner-Falefa to be traded. So I'm waiting for it to come through and be like, all right, we traded these 3 guys for a player to be named later and cash considerations.
Yeah, so are they going to be – we got, 2 weeks to the trade deadline. Do you think the Pirates are going to be selling a few players here coming up? I mean –
yeah, it's going to be like normal. They're just selling and – we're building for the future. Building for the future. Building for the future. We've been building for the future since 2016. So –
the future is bright.
Hopefully. Maybe. In the pitching, I'll give it to him in that, in the pitching.
Definitely. Paul Skeens started the All-Star game the other day. So
yeah. And he still didn't get enough run support to get a win.
Andrew Abbott also pitched an inning for the Reds, didn't give up anything, so that was good.
Yep, and the Detroit Tigers became the first team to not contribute at all to the All-Star game.
Which had 6 of their players in the All-Star game, so, man, yeah, that's awful.
4 hitters, 2 pitchers. The pitchers gave up 3 runs combined, and the hitters went 0 for 8.
Yeah, Scooball, last year's Cy Young for the AL was awful in the first inning for the American League.
I think they need to do mic'd up players more often because I think that's so fun.
Kershaw mic'd up then when his inning, it was great. He's like, Smoltzy, tell me what to throw. And he's like, throw a cutter. And he said, I don't throw a cutter, Smoltzy. That's great. Yeah, mic'd up players, it make baseball a whole lot more interesting to hear mic'd up players. Well, that is our baseball, sports week, I guess. I mean, there's really not much going on the past few days. Like you said, the ESPYS All-Star Game is one of the slower weeks in the sports season. But we've got football coming up. I mean, in just a few weeks, we've got the Hall of Fame game coming up.
It's so nice to be like, all right, less than 1 calendar month away. We get some sort of football. And maybe practice 6 squad guys, but it's football.
Yeah, and it's always good to have a little bit of football out here. So, well, we are staying out west. We hit the NFC West last week. We'll go AFC West this week, and what may be another really competitive division with at least 3 really good teams, and maybe a 4th. I don't know. Can they bring back some magic from Seattle a few years back? I don't know. We'll see, but we'll get into it here. And Gage, let's go ahead and let's start off with the kings of the AFC West for the last 9 seasons, going for a 10-peat. The Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah. Well, I'll do the same thing I did last week. Questions, position to watch, breakout player, and their bet MGM wins. Their line of wins is set at 11.5, just to begin. And then the key question is just, was their success last year kind of like a fluke, or was the Super Bowl the real outlier of this team? Kansas City was 12-0 in 1-score games last season, and that began very much in week 1 against the Ravens when Isaiah Likely couldn't keep his foot in bounds. And then we had the whole, it should be 1 foot thing. Now, 2 feet, come on, get better. You know what to do. And that all ended and collapsed in the Super Bowl. They got blown out by Philly. The score was 40-22. It was a lot worse than what the score indicates. At one point, it was, I think, 40-6. So it was not a good game at all. And the Eagles exposed the offensive line. They got sacked, Mahomes did, 6 times in that game, and the Eagles didn't bring any blitzes. It was just straight 4-man pressure. So then you have to look at, we got to revamp this offensive line. So what's the position to watch? I'm going to give it to the left tackle of this line. 2024, their second-round pick, Kingsley, I have no idea how to pronounce his last name, so I'm not even going to try, but he was last year's expected starter at the left tackle. He was awful. downright awful. He was ranked 136 out of 140 potential players at the tackle position. Not exactly the best, not very good actually at all. So that caused the Chiefs to move Joe Thuney over to there. That weakened the interior line and the run game. So this offseason, they got the former Niners backup Jalen Moore, signed him for 2 years, and they drafted Ohio State's Josh Simmons in the first round. So they're trying to, put some key pieces into the offensive line, let the run game be a little bit more dominant to where you don't have to put all the pressure on Mahomes. We saw he didn't have a great season last year, despite having a very good record. But still, the stats, they weren't there like they usually are. Now, breakout player, I'm going to go to the defensive side. We're going to go to the defensive backs. Look at safety, Jaden Hicks. One of the players that the Chiefs let go in free agency was Justin Reed. He signed with the Saints, which I didn't know until doing the research about this. So that was kind of very, hidden and under the radar signing. But given how vital he was to Spagnolia's defense, I was surprised they didn't try to bring him back or bring him back just at all. But he's Jaden Hicks. He's a rookie. He's the 39th overall prospect and best safety in the 2024 class. He didn't really get much time last year, so that's why I'm calling him a rookie, just because this is going to be really his first year playing. He fell to Kansas City in the 4th round, and it's going to be one of those things to where this guy, 4th round, if he doesn't make it in the NFL, he's not that much of a bust, but I think he's poised to take over the top safety spot and, help that defense get some more turnovers, be the defense that they know they can be. And then are they better this year than what they were in 2024? Probably not, at least in the win-loss column. But on the field itself and stat-wise, I would say so. They might not win 15 regular season games again. And, Rashee Rice, we know what happened with him here the other day. He might get suspended. I heard Chiefs are looking at possibly 2 to 4 games that they expect him to be out. So it's going to be interesting. Who's going to step up? Are we going to have Sky Moore step up? Are they going to have other receivers that I don't even know who else is there? Is Juju still there? Maybe. Maybe he'll step up. But until Rashee Rice comes back, I think this team's going to get out to a kind of a pitter-patter start. But, Travis Kelce's still there. So he'll be Mahomes' number 1 target like he always is. But I just don't see them being that 15 regular season game winner. Now, their line, like I said, set at 11.5. I think they hit it. I'm going to go with the over. I think they win 12, maybe 13 games if they're lucky. But, yeah, give me the over on the 11.5. But I just don't think it's the same win total as what they had last year.
Yeah, I'm with you. Can they get the 10 peak going? We'll see. It's ridiculous it's at this much, in the NFL. 9 straight division titles is crazy for any division. But last year, man, as we talked on here, they had a dominant defense led by Spags, the defensive coordinator over there, got them going. They were, a top 5 last season with players like Chris Jones, Trent McDuffie, Nick Bolton, anchoring that side of things. The offense, the offense was good last year, but they were carried by that defense. They faced challenges due to protection, like you'd mentioned, and then lack of really explosive playmakers. They had some playmakers last year, like Xavier Worthy, rookie. They always have Travis Kelce. They added, like you said, Jalen Moore. Then they drafted, rookie Josh Simmons at left tackle to see if they could fix that issue. The right tackle always seemed like he had a false start, Taylor. Like every time you watch the Chiefs, it seems like he was already back here moving, ready for, getting a false start. But they never called it. They hardly ever called it. So we'll see how that line holds up this year. But like you said, last year, 6 sacks in the Super Bowl and no blitzes, just straight up bull rushing right to the quarterback. And Mahomes was on his backside most of that game. So there's a breakout candidate, I think, for the Chiefs this year. And I think it's going to be Xavier Worthy. He had a standout Super Bowl performance. He's expected to make a big leap. We'll see if he can. Like you said, you've got Hollywood Brown out there. Juju still is on the roster. And then you've got Rashee Rice. You said if he can come back, stay healthy. Somebody I haven't heard a lot of is Isaiah Pacheco. Since he broke his leg last year, you really don't hear a whole lot out of him. They've got Kareem Hunt back. They've signed Elijah Mitchell. Is that right? Did they sign Elijah Mitchell, or am I dreaming they signed Elijah Mitchell?
I feel like they did.
Sign Elijah Mitchell. But, yeah, so did they sign Elijah Mitchell? So,
Yeah, they did.
not a big signing or anything like that, but, it's somebody else. But they're still the top dog, but they've got tough competition in this division this year. It may be the toughest AFC West that they've had to go against. And I think that 11.5 wins, I still like them to win this division once again. And I think that they'll hit the over on that. I don't think they're getting to 15 wins. But then again, I didn't think they were going to win 15 last year either. And they somehow did. But I don't think it's happening this year. Give me the Chiefs for the over on this one. But I like them to win the division once again. So that'll lead us to the Denver Broncos. The Broncos last year made the playoffs because the Chiefs laid down at the end of the season and let the Broncos in, because if the Broncos would have lost to the Chiefs, the Bengals would have been. But, who's talking about that right now, right? But, yeah, man, the Denver Broncos. What do we think about Denver, Gage?
Yeah, Denver, their line set at 9.5 wins, which I actually feel like is a little bit low. I feel like they'll be able to hit double digits, but it's kind of shaky. And the key question for me is their run game improved? Feels like for the past few seasons, Denver's run game has just been abysmal. It's not been good at all. I had to double, triple, quadruple check the rushing numbers from 24. Javonte Williams led the team with 8.2 carries per game. Their running backs, as a whole, collective unit, had one more touchdown than they did fumbles, 7-6. Not very good, but 2025, they have a new backfield. They drafted R.J. Harvey with the second-round pick. They just signed him yesterday. And then they also signed J.K. Dobbins in free agency, which, again, I forgot about that signing until doing the research. I could see this. They got Sean Payton. This might be an Alvin Kamara, Mark Ingram style backfield, and I'm all for it. I think it's going to work out very well. I expect a lot of good things out of R.J. Harvey. He actually might be my sleeper pick to draft in fantasy. RJ Harvey, even though he will be splitting the time with Dobbins, but I think by the end, he's going to be the number one by the end of the season. Now, the position to watch, we're going to go to the linebacker position, because late last season, teams figured out, Denver has a great defense, but their weakness is in the middle of the field. The Bills in the playoffs rushed 44 times for 210 yards. Not very good. That's a lot of yards, and especially when, you go 44 times on the ground, you don't have to throw it much. So why not exploit that and see what happens? So what do the Broncos do? They go out and they sign 2 former 49ers. They get Dre Greenlaw and safety Talanoa Hufanga. I probably butchered that. I don't know, but it sounds good. Now, when healthy, they should pair very well. However, Dre Greenlaw, he's already sidelined with a quad injury. So is that is he going to be ready for the beginning of the season? I don't know. Now, they should pair well with Alex Singleton, even though he missed most of last year with a torn ACL, but he should come back. He should be ready, and the linebacking position should be probably a top 5 unit in the league, if you had to ask me. Now, if we go to a breakout player, I had to figure out, do I want to say Bo Nix? I really can't, because, he had a good season last year. He almost had his breakout in the middle of the season last year. So we're going to look to a guy who, he's been in the league for a little bit, but just kind of underutilized quite a bit. Never a number 1 or a number 2. Wide receiver Marvin Mims Jr. He's a gadget player. He has excellent hands, an all-pro returner. Excuse me. And Sean Payton, he gave the 2023 second-round pick a more consistent role from weeks 13 to 18. And during that time, he had 23 catches, 431 yards, and 5 touchdowns during the final 5 games. He also made probably one of the best catches all season and made, Denver Broncos fans go, where's this been all bleeping year? It was very fun to watch for the last couple games, minus the playoff game. So then, are they better in 2024? Are they better than what they were in 2024? Yeah. I don't see how they can't be. You're going to have, a more experienced, more comfortable Bo Nix. You're going to have a lot more offensive weapons for him. R.J. Harvey, J.K. Dobbins. Apparently they like running backs who just have initials for their first name. And you also have an improved Marvin Mims, like we talked about. Tight end Evan Ingram coming over to Denver, and one of the league's best offensive lines. This offense, who's going to stop him? It's going to be hard to tell. Just their defense, you hope that they can step up. The linebacking position, like I mentioned, can be better. So are they better? Do they hit that 9.5 win line? I say yes. I think they're also going to go double digits, and they're going to be very close with Kansas City on who wins the division. So give me over on the 9.5, and for those reasons.
Yeah, the Denver Broncos last year, nobody was really expecting a whole lot. I mean, even on this podcast at the beginning, we were talking about Bo Nix, and you had a little nickname for him, Bo Picks, that we went with for a little while because, he was just not very good to begin with. But something clicked middle way through the season. He started to figure it out. And plus, you got that defense over there, too. I mean, that secondary, especially for Denver, was something else. Nix threw for nearly 3,800 yards and 29 touchdowns last year. He helped Denver clinch their first winning record since 2016.
Yeah.
The defense was outstanding. Set a franchise record for sacks with 63, top 3 in total and rushing yards allowed. Like you said, they signed playmakers they signed Evan Ingram, tight end, Dre Greenlaw, and the name that you mentioned also from San Francisco, I'll just go with yours, it was good, to help bolster the defense over there, which was already, like I said, a top 5 defense last year. A lot of fans think that Denver can dethrone Kansas City this year, and that is a very popular pick to win the AFC West. The Broncos team, they're for real, and they are built to challenge the Kansas City Chiefs. I don't know if they will. Like you said, they drafted R.J. Harvey, and so they signed him yesterday. So they're starting to sign second-round picks. Guess who hasn't signed their second-round pick yet? Just throwing that out there. The same team that hasn't signed their first-round pick yet. So, which is also a defensive player, a linebacker. Anyways, we're talking about the Broncos here. What are we doing? And so R.J. Harvey, I seen him play last year for Central Florida, and that guy likes to pile up the yards. I like him in this offense. And then you get J.K. Dobbins. If he could stay somewhat healthy like last year, I mean, he wasn't the healthiest, but he was somewhat healthy last year for the Chargers. And, you get them two back there with Bo Nix. You got Cortland Sutton out here, like you mentioned, Marvin Mims. And I like Denver this year to go over that 9.5 win total. I think they could get close to Kansas City. I think they could get about 10, 11 wins and really compete with Kansas City. I've got Kansas City winning the division, but it wouldn't surprise me if Denver pulls it off this year and takes the throne from Kansas City. If not this year, maybe next year. We'll see.
Dun, dun, dun.
The third team we'll cover now in this AFC West is a team that maybe they're on the rise a little bit. We'll see. Second-year coach coming in, the LA Chargers. Not the San Diego Chargers, but the LA Chargers. Coached by Jim Harbaugh in his second season. Gage, what do we think about the Chargers and what they've done this offseason?
Yeah, so just like the Broncos, the Chargers win line is set at 9.5. How many teams can we have going to double-digit wins in the division? I don't know. But the key question for this team is the interior of their offensive line fix. Very similar to what question I had for the Chiefs. But this one, we're just going to be looking at the interior. Now, you mentioned Jim Harbaugh in his first season. Also, general manager Joe Hortitz, also in his first season. What they accomplished in year one seemed very good. It did not seem like at the beginning of the season that we were all thinking that they were going to do it, but they did. Now, even with that, just like any other team, there were still holes that remained. So then they spent their second offseason patching up these holes. And they went out and they signed a right guard, Mekhi Becton. I think that's a very great signing to help out this offensive line. I've always been a Becton fan, and it's going to be something that for probably 3-4 years he can help out this team and, be the same player that he is now. Now, what's the problem that it seemed like the offense had the entire time last year? The receiver position. Outside of Ladd McConkey, Justin Herbert couldn't throw the ball to anybody and expect them to catch it. Your number 2 receiver, Quentin Johnston, how many dropped passes did he have where it's like, bam, right in the hands, or bam, right in the hands? It felt like a lot.
Stonehands Johnston.
Quentin Stonehands Johnston. There we go. Put that on a jersey. But, the Chargers wanted to change that this year. So they drafted 2 receivers. First, they drafted contested catch winner Trey Harris in the second round. And then 3 rounds later, kind of a clear-out option, Keandre Lambert-Smith. Now, at the time of me writing this, I put they also re-signed Mike Williams. However, yesterday the guy retired after 8 seasons. Now, I kind of like Mike Williams just for a simple fact. He has more interceptions caught in his career than he does fumbles. He had 1 interception in his career. He did not fumble a single time in his career. I didn't realize that, but probably because he wasn't healthy enough to ever fumble. He only had 333 catches in 8 seasons. So, be that as it may, he's gone, and the Chargers were probably looking forward to having him play the X. So, they kind of screwed them a little bit, you could say. Now, breakout player. I'm going to say this name, and I want to see your facial reaction, because guarantee you do not know who this guy is. But we're going to the tight end position. I'm going to butcher this poor guy's name. Arandi Godson II. Any idea who he is? Any idea?
Not a clue.
It's because they drafted him in the 5th round this year out of Syracuse. I usually don't take rookies to be a breakout player because what's he breaking out from? However, yeah, but 5th round, tight end, the hype is almost just a lot around this kid. The offensive coordinator, Greg Roman, quote, "I really think he's going to ascend quickly." Now, I know it's not much, but he seems like a genuine playmaker for Herbert. Wouldn't surprise me if he turns into the number 2 option. So it's kind of a standout already in the spring. And according to all people, he's able to win at all 3 levels. You can get him in the short passing game, the medium passing game, and he can be a deep threat. So are they going to be better than they were in 2024? I don't know. I have it blank on my document because I don't know. If their interior offensive line is solidified, then there's very few reasons to doubt it. But I don't trust the receiving game. I don't. So are they better on paper? Sure. Will the record show it? I don't know. Their win line, I said, was 9.5. I'm going to take the under on it. I think they finish maybe 9-8, 8-9. They pull a Pittsburgh and just finish at 500. And I don't think they make the playoffs this year. I think, once again, Justin Herbert is let down by the rest of his team.
Well, expected to anchor the pass rush for him this season. On the offensive side there, Harbaugh in his 2nd year with Herbert. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Because last year, he wanted to run the ball more. He wanted to take the ball out of Herbert's hands. But once he kind of let Herbert kind of scramble around a little bit, throw the ball down the field, Herbert started to find himself a little bit more than he has since his rookie season last year under Harbaugh. And then the draft, they drafted him some skill position players. Omarion Hampton from North Carolina, which was a really nice running back at Carolina, will come in and compete for the starting job over there. And then, like you mentioned, Ole Miss wide receiver Trey Harris. He was a really dynamic receiver last year. They've got to have something else besides Ladd McConkey out there. So they go back to the SEC to try to find somebody. And then you mentioned the wide receiver, the tight end from Syracuse. Yeah. Do you think he can overthrow Will Dissly for that starting position there at tight end? Because Dissly was disappointing sometimes, I believe, last year for the Chargers.
It wouldn't surprise me if Gadsden became the number 1 before. I don't know when their bye week is, but before their bye week.
But, they've got a strong core coming back from last year, and people think that they can compete with the Chiefs. I don't see it. Their win total is 9.5, and I'm with you here. I think that they get the under. Jim Harbaugh has never had a losing season as an NFL head coach. I don't think he has a losing season this year. I think that they are just decent enough to get to 500, but not good enough to overthrow the Broncos, overthrow the Chiefs or compete with the Broncos. They'll compete with them, but I don't think that they'll pass them up. But, so far, like the way we've done this division breakdown so far, we've got Kansas City first, who I think is going to win. Denver second, who I think is going to finish in second. The Chargers third, who I think is going to finish in third. And then the next team, which we'll talk about here in just a second, finishing in last. But, there could be, like, some hidden gems here for some of these rookies in fantasy.
Yeah.
Like Omarion Hampton. He could be a fantasy pickup, if you need an extra running back or something. Trey Harris coming in there. Because a lot of focus is going to go on Ladd this year. Mm-hmm. And I like Trey Harris to have a pretty big rookie season for the Chargers out there as the number 2 guy, possibly number 2 guy. Yeah. Do we trust Stonehands to stay number 2?
I don't know how you can. I don't.
He dropped the ball several times last year, literally.
But going to that Gadsden kid. His first 2 years at Syracuse, he was a wide receiver. His first season, he played 8 games, didn't finish it due to injury. Second season, 13 games, 61 catches, 975 yards, 6 touchdowns. 2023, played in 2 games, injury. Last year, 13 games as a tight end. he transitioned. 13 games, 73 receptions, 934 yards, and 7 touchdowns. I think that's pretty good for a 4th or 5th round pick.
Yeah, that's the Kyle McCord effect, though, is what that is. No. So that will leave us to the most interesting team in the division. Not really, but possibly, maybe. Not good, not the best team in the division, maybe the most interesting. And that is your Las Vegas Raiders. And and new head coach Pete Carroll. This is like it's the 2018 Seattle Seahawks all over again. Gage, what do we think about 73-year-old Pete Carroll coming in to coach the Vegas Raiders? This definitely isn't a long-term plan.
No, it's definitely not a long-term plan at all. Surprisingly enough, their win total is set at 6.5, which I feel for the Raiders for the past few seasons, that's pretty high. Now, they went out and got big names. But is the roster good enough to gel and compete? I'm looking at their transaction list right now since March. They signed Max Crosby to a multi-year extension. They signed guard Alex Kappa. They acquired Geno Smith. They signed Raheem Mostert. They signed Devin White. They signed a guy that I wish Pittsburgh would have brought back, Landon Roberts. And then, they signed Geno to the multi-year contract extension. Just running through quickly. They waived running back Isaiah Spiller. They went and drafted Ashton Genty in the draft. They drafted some interesting names in this year's draft. Genty, 1st round. Guard Caleb Rogers in the 3rd round. Tackle Charles Grant in the 3rd round. Defensive tackle, whose name I love, Tonka Hemingway in the 4th round. And another D tackle, wide receiver, quarterback, linebacker to finish it out. And then, probably the best signing of them all, punter A.J. Cole to a multi-year extension. And then they also got Jermaine Pratt, the linebacker core as well. So are they... hey, they also know how to sign defensive players, apparently. But is this roster good enough to compete? Probably not yet. Now, like you mentioned, head coach Pete Carroll. It's got GM John Spytek, offensive coordinator Chip Kelly. They have all the pieces. I just don't see this team being good or even competitive. Position to watch, offensive line. 3 out of 4 of these teams in this division, offensive line. Geno Smith, he went from one wretched line in Seattle to another in Las Vegas. And the Raiders invested very little into their offensive line. Despite fielding one of the league's worst units in 2024, I already mentioned, their biggest move was signing the Bengals guard Alex Kappa. That was it. That was really all they did. And now this weakness, you can mitigate it. You put out 12 personnel. They have young tight ends, Brock Bowers, Michael Mayer. But the Raiders also need offensive coordinator Chip Kelly, offensive line coach Brent and Carroll, who, is Pete Carroll's son, to develop this offensive line, particularly for run blocking. Otherwise, Ashton Genty, Raheem Mostert, don't expect to do much. Now, breakout player. I broke the trend, with the Godson kid. Let's keep the trend going now. Let's get a rookie wide receiver, Dante Thornton Jr. 6'4", 340 speed. And, that's obviously comparisons to DK Metcalf at that point. He is, by all accounts, heavily praised and a great guy to just be like, here you go. Contested catch, run down the field. Almost reminds me a little bit of Deshaun Jackson with his speed and his size. Thornton, he looks like the Raiders' starting X receiver as early as week 1. So expect this guy to be get a lot of targets, get a lot of catches. He might go for 800 to 1,000 yards. He might also be, just 8 yards to 1,000 yards. But look at the range of 800 to 1,000. So are they better than they were in 2024? It's almost hard not to be. I'm going to say yes, but temper the expectations a little bit. Big changes, as we know, came in Las Vegas. They upgraded at quarterback. They upgraded at coaching staff. And, defensive tackle Christian Wilkins still not practicing after suffering a Jones fracture last October. If he comes back, they could surprise a little bit. I'm not expecting a Chargers-like playoff surprise from the Raiders. But, maybe they end up with 6-7 wins. Now, their win total, as I mentioned, set at 6.5. I'm going to take the under. I think they get 5 or 6. But who knows? Even with drafting Ashton Genty, this guy might surprise, but he is human, and he is stuck behind one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL. So give me the under on their win total.
Yeah, so the Raiders, Pete Carroll, 73 years old, bringing a championship pedigree. He's won a title with Seattle. He won one at USC as a coach. They were 22nd last year in the NFL in defense. Not good. They bring in quarterback Geno Smith. He's reunited with Carroll. You said that they signed Jermaine Pratt and then Alex Kappa, two former Bengals. Alex Kappa, by the way, he won a Triple Crown of his own last year, giving up the most sacks, the most quarterback pressures, and the most quarterback something else. I forgot what it was. But anyways, he was like the Triple Crown for the worst guard in the league. Good riddance. Welcome to Vegas. So then they go out, and in the draft, they draft Ashton Jeanty, 6 overall. He's a power rusher, but he's limited out of the backfield pass catchings. He's not going to, be able to catch like a little swing pass. He's not known for that. He's known for straight ahead, run you over. He was a workhorse at Boise State last year and the year before, gaining over 200-some yards in several games last year. It's going to be kind of a different welcome to the NFL. He's not going to have such a great offensive line like you mentioned. So it's going to be a little bit of a challenge for him. We'll see how he takes that challenge. And then, you've got young wide receivers that they drafted. You mentioned Deontay Thornton Jr., whose comparisons to DK Metcalf. They've got a little bit of experience with a guy named DK Metcalf, so there's that there. Geno had some good success with that, so maybe so. And then they drafted out TCU Jack Besh, who was a good pass catcher for TCU last year, so we'll see how they integrate into this offense. And but your number one target still to me would be tight end Brock Bowers. That guy last year, he was a game changer in several games. I mean, could have been a game changer if the Raiders had some help for him. Yeah. But he was, a dangerous tight end out there for that offense, and I think it'll continue again this year. And on the defensive side, like you said, Christian Wilkins, if he can return from injury, that'll bolster that interior line for the Raiders. Then their secondary, they need some help back there in secondary. They drafted rookie cornerback Darian Porter out of Iowa State. He's going to most likely start, a third-round draft pick, going to start day one. That says either he's doing pretty good or the Raiders need a lot of help. And I think it's probably the latter. So, he's definitely probably going to start at that position at the beginning of the season. The depth chart, like you said, it looks a little bit better. They brought in some players, but still a little shaky. The win total, over 6.5. I'm with you. I think that it's going to go under on this one, too, because you can't have two teams in the division go double-digit wins and a third, knocking on the door of a double-digit win, and then the fourth get over 6.5. Somebody's got to be bad in this division. And I don't know if they're necessarily going to be bad, but they're not going to be good either. So it's the Raiders. And I guess it all depends on this reunion with Pete Carroll and Geno Smith. See how that goes. Run it back again? No. It's going to be more than that. They've got to have more around them. And I just don't know. I don't really understand the Pete Carroll hire, to be honest with you. You're definitely not in it for the long haul here. I mean, maybe bring him in as a special assistant or something like that, but a head coach this late? I don't know what they're doing, but, I mean, Tom Brady, partly owns that team now, so, yeah, I don't know. Maybe they know what they're doing. Maybe they'll surprise us all, and the Raiders will be AFC West champs this year.
Maybe even Super Bowl champs.
But I think they're going to be about 6 wins this year, so, yeah.
And the guy that I mentioned for breakout, Dante Thornton, first 2 years at Oregon, he 25 games, 26 catches, 541 yards, 20.8 yards per reception, 3 touchdowns. After the 2022 season, this guy says, Oregon, thank you for the opportunity. I'm entering the transfer portal. Goes to Tennessee. His junior year, 9 games, 13 receptions, 224 yards, 1 touchdown, 17.2 yards per catch. And then his senior season, the team says, we're going to give you more opportunities. 13 games he played in. Only 26 catches, but 661 yards on 26 catches. He led the SEC in yards per reception at 25.4 and also had a career-high 6 touchdowns. That's why this guy reminds me of Deshaun Jackson, maybe even a little Josh Gordon, because it's a deep ball or bust with him.
Yeah, so that's something to look for. I mean, some excitement for him. If you put him out there with Brock Bowers, maybe they can get some magic going. I don't know. I don't think it's going to happen this early, though. We'll see.
And you know, if you're in a dynasty fantasy league or something like that, and maybe you get, you know, points per long touchdown run, or even just receptions, 40 yards, 50 yards, this might be the guy to take. You're not going to get much out of him besides for that, but hey, better than nothing.
We went a whole episode barely mentioning Taylor Swift, who's also in the AFC West division here. I mean, I've got her as my MVP this year out of the AFC West. I don't know about you, Gage. Who you got? Or, you know.
Man, MVP out of the division, it's going to be... I'm not going to take the easy route. I'm not going to say Mahomes or Kelsey. Let's go to the Broncos, and let's give it to Bo Nix. Especially if Denver comes up and wins the division, it's definitely going to be all Bo Nix. But even if they're a game or two behind me, Bo Nix, and I might have him above Mahomes on my quarterback board this year.
Yeah, so, I mean, I said Taylor Swift, but, you know, she's probably least improved out of the division will be my guess. I'm with you here. I think Bo Nix would probably be the MVP, especially if they win it. Like you said, Mahomes, he's got to do a whole lot to become the MVP nowadays because everybody's like, oh, yeah, he's already done that before. Why would we give it to him? I like Bo Nix as a pick for the MVP. For Defensive Player of the Year, I also like a Denver Broncos out of the division. Patrick Surtain, I think, will be the Defensive Player of the Year out of that division if we were doing.
Yeah, if we're going to do that, I mean, him or the guy that I wish that the Steelers would have signed in free agency, Hufanga. I loved him when he was in San Francisco. I thought he was a great playmaker, and he reminded me of Troy Polamalu. So, especially with the long hair, you know, just got to put that comparison out there. So, I'll go, yeah, you did Surtain. I'll go different. Give me Hufanga as Defensive Player of the Year.
I'm telling you, neither one of us are Broncos fans, but man, we like this Broncos team right now, especially defensively, what they've done.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch. Hopefully the Steelers don't play them this year. I don't remember, but it's going to be fun to watch.
I would like to see them overthrow Kansas City this year in the division, but we'll see how it all goes. But, yeah, man. You got anything else to add to the AFC West?
No, I think this division is going to be one of the better ones this year. I think it's going to be one of the most competitive. I know the AFC North had that title for a while, and then Big Ben retired, and it kind of only became two teams that were really competitive, even though the Steelers somehow keep winning in the regular season. I don't get it. But, yeah, AFC West, look out. I think this division is going to be top dogs.
Yeah, this is going to be a highly competitive division, and we're going to finish off, of course, with the best division, the AFC North, at the end of all this. But next week we'll jump on here and we'll go NFC. We haven't decided where we're going yet. Maybe we'll go down south. I mean, because that's a great division to talk about on here. Or maybe the NFC North. No, East. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see where it all goes. That'll be about all for us here this week, man. If you got anything else, Gage?
I may be in a good mood next week if the Pirates come out and win a little bit, but outside of that, don't expect it.
Yeah, well, I would say the same about the Reds, but I'm already losing hope. And next week we'll be one step closer to the season starting for us on the NFL. I can't wait. Let's go.
I can't wait either. It's going to be so much fun this year.
All right, thanks for checking us out, everybody, and we'll see you all next week.
Later.